All right, so what I'm gonna do here today is grind up some venison burger. So I'm working out here in the garage. Usually I would do this outside on the picnic table, but it's 16 degrees out there this morning and wind's blowing, so it's really brutal conditions. So I'm working inside the garage here, which in the garage it's only 29 degrees, so it's good temperature for working with meat. When I work with meat, I like to be in a cold environment. That's why I wait till late winter after the hunting season and to make my burger. All right, so I spent a couple hours this morning trimming up my meat. I like to get my meat really clean of all the gristle and muscle membrane, and so I'm real meticulous about that. So I got all my meat cut up earlier today, and I've got it in these two bowls right here, and I've weighed it. I've got 9 pounds in each bowl. So venison, of course, being really lean, it needs a little bit of fat. And there's different ways you can do that. You know, some people put beef fat in there. What I like to do is use bacon. And bacon gives it the fat it needs and also adds to the flavor. So what I've done here this morning is I've cut up 3 pounds of bacon. So I'm gonna put 1.5 pounds in each one of these. So it's 1.5 pounds of bacon to 9 pounds of venison. That's the ratio I use. And you can put more or less, of course. Like I say, working here in the garage, I don't have a whole lot of room. I got this small table, so I'm using the vehicle here. So another thing I like to do to enhance the flavor of the meat is I put in a onion soup mix into my meat and blend it in. Lipton makes it. This is Walmart brand, it's just as good. So what I do is I put 2 packages of the soup mix in the 9 pounds of venison, which of course includes 1.5 pounds of bacon. All right, so once I get my bacon and my seasoning in my meat, now I'm gonna blend it up, fix it up real good. So when I start grinding, that'll keep the mixture even as it goes in the grinder. All right. I don't have a lot of room here, so I'm gonna go ahead and set one of these up here out of the way. I'm gonna get my grinder up here. Now I'm using a KitchenAid stand mixer with a meat grinder attachment, and you know, there's a lot of different meat grinders out there. This one is not real fast, but it does a great job. And I'm gonna grind the meat really coarse, and I'll tell you why. I grind it coarse because I'm gonna run it back through 2 times. The reason I put it through the second time is that it blends the bacon and the seasoning really well. I get a really good mix that way. So I got me a big container here to capture my meat. Put my mixer on. All right, so I got that all ground the first time. So now what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna put it back in there for a second grind, and that gives it a really nice blend. Make sure that the bacon and the seasoning all gets worked in equally. I know one thing, I should have put a leveler under this table. It's rocking all over the place, making noise. This is a little bit of a slow process, takes some time. But I tell you what, I sure do like having my own meat that I ground myself. I know what's in there. And I do enough to last me a whole year. So I'll never have to buy any ground meat at the store. Of course, I use it for everything. I make burgers, put it in my chili, meatloaf, spaghetti sauce, meatballs. Works out really well for anything that I would use burger in. All right, so I got that second grind all done. You can see how pretty that meat is. And it's blended nicely, so what I'm gonna do now is cover this up. I'm gonna set it over here. Now I'm gonna get this second bucket and start grinding that. So I'm not here to advertise KitchenAid mixers by any means, but I tell you what, I really like this thing. It does a great job, and there's a lot of attachments you can get. This meat cutter attachment also has a sausage stuffer, and we have made venison sausage and put it in links with this. All right, so I got all my grinding done. So what I'm gonna do now is I got a little food scale, and I'm gonna weigh out my meat in 1 pound portions, put it in these bags. So if I have it in 1 pound packages, then works good for my different recipes, whatever I might be making. So after I get my meat weighed out in these bags, I'll squeeze all the air out of the bag, and then I'll pack these inside of Ziploc freezer bags to keep them fresh and from getting freezer burned. All right, so after I get all these bagged up in 1 pound packages, then I'm gonna put them in these Ziploc freezer bags. Of course, I've marked the date on there, and I can get about 4 of these in a bag. Then I'll seal those up, put them in a deep freeze, get all the air out, of course. So I got all this ground meat put into 1 pound packages, put it in freezer bags, getting ready to put it in the freezer. And now I got another batch I'm going to work on later, and I'm going to make the next batch into hamburger patties and have those for cookouts all summer long.